Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is my hope and prayer that this video is actually going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I'm fine. Kisumu is also fantastic. Maybe you could let me know where you are watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. I've always opined on this particular platform that in politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence. Yesterday, Fred Okengo Matiang'i, the former powerful cabinet secretary for Interior, held a meeting with Ezekiel Mochogua, the cabinet secretary for Education. Mochogu is a close ally of William Samoei Arap Ruto. What was the objective of that particular meeting? Because remember, just the same yesterday, I opined here that Ruto was literally begging Fred Matiang'i for talks. And then this particular meeting took place. What was the objectives? In this video, I want us to look at the objective of this particular meeting because it was intended to achieve certain political objectives. Before we get into all those, in case you are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is now. What do you think were the objectives of that particular meeting? Because according to sources, some of the people who met Matiang'i were actually meeting with him for the first time in a very long time, because they were not seeing eye to eye. Let us begin by looking at a few things which you could definitely observe just from the photos there. The first thing which is interesting is that this meeting, Matiang'i met with William Ruto's close allies. Remember, Ruto the other day met with ODM MPs from the Kisii region. Why William Ruto's allies? Because William Ruto is supposed to go to Kisii, and these guys are organizing that particular trip. So probably that was the main objective of this particular meeting. So the fact that Matiang'i met with Ruto's allies, people he didn't have time for previously, is what is raising eyebrows. Number two, let us look at the way this meeting, the arrangement of the meeting. According to some sources, this meeting took place in some undisclosed hotel, which I doubt. But based on the sitting arrangement, it means this was a serious meeting which was arranged. And the sitting arrangement was that Matiang'i and Mochogu were seated up there, which means as far as these leaders are concerned, Matiang'i is occupying a certain space, political space or leadership space within the Kisii region. As things stand today, Mochogu is the senior-most government official from Kisii region. Matiang'i is the immediate former senior-most government official. So them being on the high table there is also telling. The other thing which is also significant is the leakages of these photos. Because if these guys could not tell us where this meeting took place, why were they sharing the photos? Who took the photos? And what was the objective of the photos? For me, if you ask me, the photos were actually intended to inform Kenyans that a meeting like this took place. According to information, Jimmy Makwiny was present. There was John Simba, one of the billionaires from the Kisii region, and then there's another gentleman there and several other people. But what were the objective of this particular meeting? That is what we want to look at. Remember, Matiang'i was the senior-most government official during President Uhuru Kenyatta's government. In fact, through Executive Order number 1 of 2019, Uhuru made Fred Matiang'i a kind of prime minister in the Republic of Kenya, and he took the roles which William Ruto initially performed. And when William Ruto took over, it was expected that Matiang'i was going to be one of the people who are going to be targeted. And of course, we saw how things unfolded until he was taken and grilled at the DCI headquarters. And that now marked the beginning of what we are seeing. Because according to my own sources on the ground, Matiang'i was supposed to hold some prayer rallies in Kisii. Those prayer rallies were cancelled at last minute. So which means this meeting was intended for certain objectives. The first reason why this meeting was held was to discuss the visit by William Ruto to Kisii. You know, when Matiangi was being grilled at the DCI, the whole thing was dramatized. And it began by Matiangi claiming that some people had gone to his home, the police had gone to his home, blah, blah. Then the police said, okay, if that's the case, we are coming. Then they went for the CCTVs, which were never released up to this particular stage. Then at some point, Matiangi was out of the country and they started issuing summons to him. And he said, I'm not there. So he came back, he went to the DCI. And when he went to the DCI, he was accompanied by Kisii community. He was accompanied by Azimio leaders. So which means his intended arrest, for that matter, was then politicized. And we witnessed demonstrations in Kisii and the rest. And because William Ruto is going to Kisii, he wants to go to Kisii minus the issue of Fred Matiangi on his back. Because I remember when Raila was in Kisii, one of the biggest subject during his rally was the issue of Fred Matiangi. I remember even Simba Arati talking about the issue of Fred Okengo Matiangi. So William Ruto is going to Kisii. One of the things which was going to really frustrate his trip there is the issue of Matiangi. So this case just discussed. And that's why Ruto was desperately looking for Matiangi. So they got Matiangi. Then they discussed with Matiangi. Now, the president is going to Kisii. We don't want this issue to come up, you know. And they placed demands for him. If you missed my yesterday's video where I explained some of these things, please, you can check it out up there. So that's number one. Number two, I also tend to think that there are people who have been trying to negotiate a deal between Matiangi and Ruto. And that's why immediately after this meeting of yesterday, the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions issued a press statement. And in that press statement, titled, "Redecision by the Director of Public Prosecution on the inquiry file of the allegations against Dr. Fred Okengo Matiangi." And it says, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations forwarded an inquiry file to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution through letter dated 7th March 2023 under reference blah 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 for perusal and advice, and the same was received by the office on 8th. I want you to mark this date. The DPP received Matiangi's file on 8th. 8th, I think, was on, when was 8th? Was last week. Huh? Then, the inquiry file relates to allegations that Dr. Matiangi on 8th and 9th February 2023 jointly conspired with another to publish in the media. To wit, the former CS for Interior was invaded with a garrison or battalion of unidentified people from the security apparatus of this country, either EACC, either KWS, either police, blah, blah. The recommendations by the investigating officers was that Dr. Matiangi and his advocate, Mr. Dunstan Omari, be charged for the following offenses. Number one, conspiracy to commit a felony contrary to section 393 of the Penal Code. Number two, publication of false information contrary to section 23 of the Computer and Misuse Act. Upon independent and thorough analysis of the evidence availed and a review of the statement of the witnesses, the Director of Public Prosecutions found that the evidence provided was not sufficient to sustain the above charges against Dr. Matiangi and his advocate, Mr. Dunstan Omari. The evidence provided did not meet the ingredients needed to prove each of the aforementioned offenses as required by law. The Director of Public Prosecution has therefore directed the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to close the file with no further police action. You get? So that's Kenya for you. So it means that there's a deal on the issue of Matiang'i. And remember, in my video yesterday, I explained that William Ruto's demand to Matiang'i for the cases to be dropped was that he was going to exit politics and that these issues were not going to be dramatized. So these issues can only be dramatized if the police were allowed to continue harassing Matiang'i. And the DPP has now closed the issue of the police and Matiang'i. So that's number two. Number three, I tend to think that this meeting is part of William Ruto's game plan for Kisii politics. If you look at the last election and you compare to 2023 and 2020, you compare to 2017 and 2013, you realize that Raila Odinga's percentage in the Kisii region, as far as the votes are concerned, was higher. Uhuru Kenyatta actually got higher percentage in Kisii than Ruto. So William Ruto is still scheming with Kisii. He wants to wrestle Kisii and Kisii from Raila Odinga. And everything which was happening was actually happening to the advantage of Matiang'i. William Ruto was creating Matiang'i through all these arrests. And he realized this, I think, either through NIS or through his own team, that fighting with Matiang'i was giving Matiang'i some sympathy. So for him to succeed in Kisii, he needed to remove Matiang'i because Raila was then using Matiang'i to also advance his politics. So he needed to remove Matiang'i from the equation. And I think if that was the scheme, the objective of the meeting yesterday, then I tend to think that that objective has been achieved. Raila Odinga will have now to look for other strategies of trying to assert himself in Kisii. Number four, Fred Matiang'i is a former cabinet secretary for Interior. He has access, or he had access to almost everything in this country, be it scandal, be it everything. Matiang'i still has people sympathetic to him in the security apparatus, just like Uhuru has, just like Raila still has people. And fighting Matiang'i would mean that Matiang'i was going to fight back. And how was Matiang'i going to fight back? Matiang'i was going to fight back by exposing the dirt around Ruto, around Gachagua, and any other officers within William Ruto's government. And that's why, if you remember, when Gachagua started making noise about the billions which was stolen in bags to Wilson Airport, to various homes, it only took a former cabinet secretary, Ukuru Yatani, to give him facts. From that day, Gachagua disappeared. He only came back yesterday in Tharaka Nithi and then through a press interview. But the fact is, Matiang'i still has a lot of information. William Ruto would not want to engage Matiang'i because of those information. Would be dangerous for him. So the only thing, let us reach an agreement. What I'm not sure about is Matiang'i's political future, because Matiang'i had that opportunity to actually emerge officially as the Kisii kingpin. Number five, if you ask me, William Ruto is keen on thwarting Raila Odinga's plans for mass action across the country. And if you are keen, he's been trying to organize people and organize regions with a strategy of isolating Raila Odinga. You know, what was happening to Matiang'i was just enough, in my view, to trigger a rebellion in Kisii. You know, it was going to be easy for Azimio to add up Matiang'i factor, to add up, because Matiang'i also has the money, the finance, you know, the sympathy, which was just enough to mobilize the Kisii region to join Raila Odinga in the fight. And that's what William Ruto is trying to fight. In fact, Ruto is not only targeting Raila Odinga, he's targeting other people. And lastly, I've always opined on this platform that there is no way William Ruto can fight Uhuru Kenyatta and succeed. They can only make noise. When William Ruto went for the throat of Matiangi, and Matiangi was taken before the DCI and grilled for 8 good hours, many people interpreted that, including myself, to mean that William Ruto was now taking the war to Uhuru's doorstep. And indeed, there are people who suggest that Uhuru actually placed phone calls, which ended up forcing the security agencies to release Fred Matiang'i. The point is, Ruto has tried all mechanisms of fighting Uhuru, not working. So the only way now to fight Uhuru is to target his people and win them to his side. You saw Kiraitu Murungi in Meru joining him. Matiang'i will definitely join him. He will identify someone else and have him in his corner with a strategy of dealing with Uhuru, so that Uhuru will remain just Uhuru Kenyatta, because he has tried everything. William Ruto has tried collapsing the business of these people, has not worked. He has tried taking over Jubilee, has not worked. He has tried everything, has not worked. Even winning the mountain, Uhuru is still just there. Now he might succeed by targeting some of the allies of Uhuru Kenyatta, and that's why he's now meeting Matiang'i, in the hope that Matiang'i will then go back to his boss, that boss, what I'm seeing kwa hii maneno, since sasa sisi hatuko kwa serikali na mimi sasa sitaki kuingilia maneno ya siasa, let me just take a low profile. So let us wait and see how this thing is going to unfold. Thank you guys, and if you have any other idea on why these guys met, please you are free to let me know in the comment section. Thank you guys, and may you have a good day. Bye bye.